This is Christophe speaking with Justine, the lovely Justine. And what's the next topic on our podcast, Justine?
Well, we were just discussing what we were going to talk about, and what we thought we'd talk about today is how when we do the kind of work that we do, when we learn about the mind, when we learn about spirituality, we tend to change. And when we change, how it influences the people around us, meaning, we can go through an experience of loneliness because, some of the people that we're relating to prior to doing the work don't seem to want to be around us anymore, or else we can't handle the energy of that. And how people can experience some loss around family and friends, like not being on the same page anymore, but how we also bring in amazing people into our lives as well. We bring in new friends, new people, and good conversation.
It's a big topic. I mean, that's not only for us as human beings, that's also for our students, that's for our clients, that's for everyone who shifted some huge beliefs. I mean, I can remember one day a plumber came in my office, and he was absolutely sure there's no such thing as a past life or spirituality or whatever. Absolutely sure. Okay. So he sits in the chair. I ask him what he wants, and I start working. After a few minutes, we already are in a past life.
Yeah.
And this guy in the past life was a woman.
Yeah.
So, and I remember his expression in the chair. He said, this is strange. I'm a woman now. I'm a woman. I said, yeah. Are you making this up? No. I'm actually a woman. How strange is this? So we did the therapy. And afterwards, he comes out of the altered state, and he's talking to me. And I said, this was really, really strange for me. Not only have you helped me with my problem, but now I'm kind of in dubio. What is real and what is not real? Because I was actually 100% convinced this is our lifetime. There's nothing else. There's no God. There's no this. There's no that. And now I just know something else is going on because I had experience. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. So we make another appointment, and I see him 1 week later. And I ask him, how's life? He said, absolutely wonderful. The problem is gone, but I can't have another problem. I just know, and I just can feel stuff which I had absolutely no idea it was possible. I was unaware of it, but my belief system shifted for the full 180 degrees. And I asked him, well, how does your spouse react? How do your friends react? And I said, well, before I was drinking quite a lot. I went to a cafe, drank, got drunk. People made fun with me. I made fun with other people. But now I just don't drink. I take a glass of water. And I don't need the alcohol to be funny. But sure, I don't do stupid things anymore. So my friends are kind of reacting, well, you're not funny anymore. You're kind of boring. Who are you? And he sees, or he saw a shift in his friends. which as a human being was quite impactful, and he had no idea how to deal with it. Afterwards, because I saw him a few times, afterwards he said new friends came in his life. Also, his relationship ended and a new relationship started, but the impact was huge, huge. I've seen this over and over again. I've seen this in my personal life. I've seen this with my students happen. I've seen this with my clients. And I guess it's the same with you, isn't it, Justine?
Yeah. What I found myself in my journey is that, but I found this all the way through my life. So not so much just doing this more hard out stuff in the last 5 years, is that every time I changed, the friends changed and the places changed, especially spiritually. So, and the biggest thing I found was my ability to cope around people changed. So what I found acceptable in the past, or how I let people treat me, changed a lot. So what I found in the past was acceptable for me, like say if someone wasn't nice to me or someone acted a certain way, when I did the work or when I did the healing or became more connected with myself, I couldn't even be in that space. And so of course the relationship changed, the dynamics changed, sometimes for the better, because you treat people you kind of teach people how to treat you, and if they don't fit in with that, then of course you let them go, or they drift away because the energy's changed, or people step into line and they match you and meet you, and then the relationship is much healthier. But I totally find that with my clients. One thing that's really interesting is I have clients coming in and saying things to me like, oh, I've got issues with my mother-in-law. We always hear about the mother-in-law, or, my boss, or, I'm sure this person hates me, or family members. And the funny thing is that when we do the work on the client that's in the room, so we shift the energy and we do the work on what's going on there, they go home and the mother-in-law is different towards them, or suddenly the boss is nice to them. And so they start to see how it's a dance, how they were also dancing with that person, and that's why that relationship was the way they were. So it wasn't just that person was a bad person and they're being mean to me, but how where they were at, they were dancing with the other person. And so when you do the work, that dance might continue, but in a more healthier way. But if you do the work and you're not dancing anymore, and the person's putting out their hand, doing whatever they were doing before, and you don't put your hand out to dance anymore, they're going to go dance with someone else. And I'm talking about that more in a negative way, meaning, not good, maybe they weren't treating you well and you were playing, but when you do the work, you don't play anymore. So that relationship dies, or that person moves on to someone that they can dance with. And that can be quite painful for the people that are doing the work. They might have had this belief in their mind that the dance they were having was a great dance and they were good at it. But when they realized that the dance was coming from a place of hurt or feeling not good enough, or all the things we tend to name it, and they just couldn't dance anymore because they didn't have that inside themselves, and that person goes off and dances with someone else, it can hurt. It can hurt, but then of course someone comes in and dances with you again. Do you know what I mean? But on a better playing field. I think dancing is a good way too. I tend to use dancing in a session too, like as an example. If a client comes in to work with me, it's a dance. It's a two-player game. We're both involved in healing. It's not, I'm not going to say something, you're going to be healed. So I like to use dancing as a metaphor for two people working together. But I find that the energy, when you do the work, it's going to change the energy of the people around you. whether it be in a positive way, it's always positive. But what I mean is whether that person's going to match you and come with you on that journey, or whether it's going to make them feel uncomfortable, which of course will make them leave, or you will leave. But either way, when we do the work, relationships change, dynamics change. It can't not.
It reminds me to a metaphor, like if people are waiting at a bus station, especially after Corona, they're kind of like, I mean, I calculate in meters, like 2 meters, there's distance between two people waiting on a bus. And when you suddenly move really close to them, really close, they kind of look at you and say, huh? And they react. That's a system. There is an action and there is a reaction. I mean, people just don't ignore you. No, they react, correct? They react. Now, a family is also a system. So if you move, like if you dance or if you take an action, the spouse or the children or the mother-in-law or whoever it is, they react because you change. You take another position. The same with our friends or colleagues or relatives. So it's interesting. We are all interconnected.
All dancing together.
And always in movement. Really strange. Really strange.
It's interesting. You know, when you get into this more spiritual stuff and connection with people like Christophe, we have a really good connection. You can get to a point that a person can move on the other side of the world and you can feel it. Right?
How strange is that? And how cool is that?
It's very cool. You know, have really cool.
It is an evidence that there's more in life than we actually can see or feel or know or whatever. There's so much more.
Yeah.
We only know this little, not only about our minds, not only about our physical body, but also in interacting with other people. We're only at the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg, the things we can explore and know.
And I mean, and in this conversation, we're talking about how dynamics and people change. It's for some people, I always hear that the spiritual path is a lonely path. And I feel like I've always been the only one and I'm different. But I'm here to tell you that I've heard hundreds of people in the last few years say to me, it's a lonely path and I'm the only one. Until they meet their tribe. So like with Hypnosis New Zealand, we've got a tribe of people that were once lonely, but because they themselves reached out and looked for something, they realized that there was all these people out there on the same wavelength. And so if you are in a space where you've done some work or you're changing and you're feeling lonely and you have this belief that the spiritual path is the lonely path, you know, it's another one of those beliefs that in the past, you know, ancestors probably did go on a spiritual journey alone, you know, so that's where that idea came from. But when you have a session or you work with someone and you shake off the old, and yep, that might actually be people that aren't good for us, we might shake them off like a dog shaking off water. There are gonna, if you let it happen, you know, there are going to be other people that come in and dance with you. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a lonely road, especially now because the world is becoming so, people are so interested in helping and healing, you know. It's a different world. And like I said, I can't even count. I don't even know how many people have come to me when I first meet them saying, you know, I thought I was the only one, but I'm talking hundreds. I hear it all the time. And yet there's a whole world of people out there that are on the same paths as us, doing the same things, looking for people. But to find people, you've got to find people, you know.
Yep,
you've got to create the space, you've got to look and get out there and get ready to dance with people again, you know.
Yeah, take action and there will be a reaction. And social media nowadays makes it more easy for even to connect with people on the other side of the world. So there are possibilities enough.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, the shift, the change might be challenging, but at the end, all will be well. And
Always.
if you want to connect with us, hey, always welcome. Join our tribe,
Yeah.
and we'll have lots of fun.
Yeah, always fun.
So
We'll
if
see
you have
later.
before we close, if you have a question for our listeners, just let us know. If there is a topic you would like to have discussed by us, just let us know. Reach out, and see you next time.
See you later.